The deeper your desire for something, the further it often seems to slip away from you. Desire, by its very nature, generates movement, but more often than not, this movement is in the opposite direction of what you seek. You reach out with desperate hands, craving what you want, but like trying to catch water, the more tightly you hold it, the more it escapes your grasp. This isn't failure, it is an underlying law of physics, a truth hidden beneath layers of forgotten wisdom. Since childhood, you've been taught to want, to pray, to wish, and to focus all your energy on asking. These ideas seem natural after all. Isn't it logical that if you desire something enough, it will eventually come to you? But what if, just maybe, asking for what you want is the very thing that blocks its arrival? This paradox disrupts the foundational beliefs many have about manifestation. From a young age, you are conditioned to hope, to wish, to wait. Yet these states of being are all infused with the same vibration lack. When you want, you affirm that you do not have. When you hope, you acknowledge what is missing. When you wait, you confirm that the moment of fulfillment lies somewhere in the future, not in the present. The quantum field, the very fabric of reality that responds to frequency, does not recognize words or thoughts. It responds to the state of being that you embody. What most people fail to realize is that while they believe they are calling abundance into their lives, they are actually vibrating in harmony with absence. The realization of this contradiction is what begins to crack open the old belief system. If simply wanting something does not bring it closer, then what does? The mind, hungry for clarity, searches for an answer. This search for an answer is the doorway to a deeper truth, one whispered by mystics and now confirmed by modern physics. Manifestation is not about desire, it is about embodiment. Neville Goddard, a powerful teacher of manifestation, did not say, "Wish you are." Instead, he urged, "Assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled." The difference between the two is monumental. Wishing keeps you as an outsider, separate from the thing you desire. Assuming the feeling of already having it, on the other hand, makes you the source, the very embodiment of your desire. The quantum field collapses not when you ask for something, but when you observe it from within the state of already having it. Imagine standing in front of a mirror. You smile, and instantly the reflection smiles back. You don't beg the mirror to reflect your joy. You don't pray for the mirror to one day smile back at you. It simply follows your state, reflecting the energy you bring to it. The universe operates the same way. It is not a vending machine that responds to your wishes with a dispensed item. It is a mirror that responds to your state of being. This God state is not a mystical place, hidden in the clouds or in some distant future. It is the most intimate truth. It's the place where you stop grasping and, instead, become the very frequency of the thing you seek. But here lies the trap. Most people hear this teaching and try to fake it until they make it. They repeat affirmations with doubt still lingering in their chest. They visualize, but subconsciously measure the absence of what they want. This is the root cause of frustration. They're told they've done everything right, yet reality doesn't shift. The truth is more liberating, though somewhat harsher. The universe is flawless in its response. It is not failing you. It is reflecting you. If you vibrate with doubt, you will see delay. If you vibrate with need, you will see absence. The mirror, in this case, never lies. So, the question arises, how do you truly enter the God state? How can you embody a feeling of abundance when every fiber of your being screams with a sensation of lack? The answer lies not in words, but in rhythm. Your body carries a key far older than thought, deeper than imagination. That key is the breath. Breath is the only action that can be both automatic and conscious. It serves as the bridge between the seen and the unseen, the unconscious programs that drive you and the conscious intentions that shape your reality. To shift the quantum field around you, you must first shift your breath. Before we dive into how the breath can collapse reality, we need to understand why breath has always been sacred in mystical traditions and why modern science is now confirming its profound influence. From yogic pranayama to Christian ruach, meaning spirit, to the Hebrew word for spirit, breath has long symbolized life force. In modern times, neuroscience has demonstrated that controlled breathing can change the state of your nervous system, create coherence in your heart rhythms, and influence brainwave patterns. The ancients spoke of spirit. The scientists speak of frequency. They are pointing toward the same truth. The breath is not merely air, it is vibration embodied. And here lies the missing piece that turns the paradox of manifestation into a revelation. You cannot desire your way into manifestation, but you can breathe your way into embodiment. Manifestation was never about pleading with the universe to move things around on your behalf. It has always been about becoming the movement first. Every inhale is a collapse of infinite potential into the present moment. Every exhale is a release, a letting go of the resistance that keeps you stuck. In that rhythm, the impossible becomes inevitable. What most people fail to notice is that breath does not lie. You can say all the affirmations you want while your chest remains tight with anxiety. You can visualize the life you want while holding shallow, rapid breaths that scream survival. But when you shift your breath, you shift your state. And when your state shifts, the quantum field shifts with you. This is where the manifestation puzzle begins to reveal its edges. The God state is not about controlling the universe, it's about becoming so aligned with it that the universe has no choice but to mirror your wholeness. Yet, the real secret of how to use the breath to step into this state is still hidden for many. At the core of quantum physics lies one of the most unsettling discoveries ever made. Reality does not exist in a fixed form until it is observed. Heisenberg's uncertainty principle tells us that particles remain in a cloud of probabilities, existing in multiple potential states simultaneously. It is only when observation occurs that the wave function collapses, and one single reality is realized. In other words, nothing is solid until awareness chooses it. This is not just an abstract principle for physicists in laboratories. It is the very architecture of how your life unfolds moment by moment. Yet, despite this, very few people apply this principle to the way they manifest their desires. Here's where the secret starts to unfold. The true observer effect isn't just the act of looking at the world, it's the state of consciousness you embody while observing. You can look at your bank account from a place of lack, and reality will collapse into more lack. You can look at your relationships from a place of unworthiness, and reality will collapse into more rejection. The world is not punishing you. It is merely mirroring the frequency from which you observe. This is where Neville Goddard's teachings and Heisenberg's physics meet. Neville often insisted that you must assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled, not because it's a poetic idea, but because the quantum field demands coherence between the observer and the observed. This is what creates the mystery of the God state. The God state is not some mystical place in the clouds. It is the alignment where your internal frequency matches the external reality you seek. When you are in that state, there is no gap between you and the thing you desire. It is already done. And here's the shocking part. From the perspective of quantum mechanics, reality already exists as a probability wave. The only thing missing is the collapse of that wave, and collapse is triggered by state, not by hope. This is why desire alone doesn't work. Desire keeps you outside of the reality you wish to create, staring at the probability wave but never collapsing it into form. Embodiment, however, makes you the catalyst. The universe is not waiting for your words, your vision boards, or your desperate affirmations. It is waiting for resonance. Just like a tuning fork that vibrates when placed near another of the same frequency, the quantum field collapses to match the frequency you hold. The God state is the frequency of certainty, of completion, of already being. Science shows us something profound. Coherence is the signal that your body is in alignment with the field. Studies on heart rate variability show that when the heart and brain enter a state of synchronization, the electromagnetic field they generate expands and strengthens. This is not some esoteric idea, it is measurable. In moments of deep meditation, gratitude, or love, the body becomes a broadcasting station of coherence. The ancient mystics referred to this as divine union. The physicists call it coherence. Both are pointing to the same doorway. The God state is a measurable shift where the inner observer and the outer probability field lock into harmony. Now, here's the remaining puzzle. How do you move from the chaos of everyday thought into this state of coherence? Most people try to think their way into alignment. But thought alone is too scattered, too noisy. The brain can't stabilize frequency on its own. It flickers between past and future, desire and doubt. That's why Neville Goddard emphasized feeling, not thinking, and why science confirms that the body, not the intellect, holds the key. Because when the body enters coherence, the wave collapses with precision. The observer is no longer fractured. The God state emerges not through effort, but through resonance. Now, pause and consider what this implies. If the collapse of reality is a function of state, then every moment of your life is proof of what you have been embodying. Every failure to manifest is not failure at all. It is proof of the perfect physics at work. The field is mercilessly honest, reflecting exactly who you are being. This honesty is the gateway to liberation, because it means the power was never outside of you. It was never about earning the universe's favor. It was always about coherence. The God state is essentially the state in which every part of you is aligned with the outcome you seek. It's where nothing within you contradicts the result you want to manifest. You are no longer a beggar at the door of reality, hoping and wishing for a change. Instead, you become the door itself, the gateway through which your desired reality can enter. This realization stirs up a question that lingers at the back of your mind. If thought alone cannot unlock the God state, and if desire keeps you trapped just outside it, then what is the practical gateway into this state of coherence? The answer has been in front of you all along, hiding in plain sight, waiting since the very first moment you took your first breath. It is the rhythm of the breath. Each inhale, each exhale, is a rehearsal of collapsing potential into form, an opportunity to align the observer with the observed. But how does something as simple as breath, something we often take for granted, become the key to accessing the God state? That is the secret we are about to uncover. Stay with me, because the missing piece of the puzzle is about to come into sharp focus. From the moment you entered this world, breath has been the hidden rhythm of your existence. It is the one action that bridges the unconscious and the conscious, the automatic and the intentional. You breathe without thinking, yet you can also choose to direct your breath with full awareness. This duality is no accident. It's a design, a key placed in your body, waiting to unlock the door between mere survival and the act of creation, between the realm of probability and the certainty of collapse. And yet, for most of your life, you've likely spent your days breathing mechanically, without realizing that you hold the very mechanism that could shift your entire reality. Science now confirms what ancient traditions long knew, even before the language of neurons or quantum fields existed. Studies on breath show that the way you inhale and exhale has a profound effect on the autonomic nervous system. A deep, controlled breath activates the parasympathetic response, calming the body, reducing stress hormones like cortisol, and creating a state of coherence where the heart and brain begin to sync. In this state, brain waves slow down, perception expands, and the electromagnetic field of the heart becomes more organized. This is not just philosophical musings, it is measurable physics. What mystics referred to as spirit, prana, or chi is the same phenomenon scientists are now identifying as a shift in frequency. The breath alters the frequency of your body, and this frequency then instructs the field around you. But why does breath hold such power when it comes to manifestation? The answer lies in rhythm. Inhalation represents expansion, while exhalation symbolizes release. Together, these two forms create the most primal pattern of life, receiving and letting go. Each inhale is a microcosm of potential, collapsing into actualization, drawing the unseen into the visible. Each exhale represents a surrender, a release of control and resistance. When you breathe consciously, you are literally rehearsing the quantum mechanics of manifestation. Every breath you take mirrors the wave function itself, potential collapsing into form and then dissolving back into possibility. Almost every spiritual tradition centers its most sacred practices around the breath because it is the process of life itself. Yogis develop pranayama not just to relax but to control and elevate their states of consciousness. Monks, across various traditions, whispered sacred syllables with each breath, linking breath to vibration. Even the Latin word spiritus means both breath and life force. Across cultures and millennia, breath has been the signature of presence. And in the context of manifestation, presence is the currency that collapses reality. Because when you are fully present, Not scattered across past regrets or future fears, you occupy the God state. You become whole, complete, and coherent. However, here's the catch most people miss. Simply breathing is not enough. Everyone breathes every moment of their life. Yet many still feel a sense of lack, frustration, or absence. The key is in how you breathe and, more importantly, what you anchor into that rhythm. Shallow breathing locks you into survival mode. It signals your nervous system to respond with stress, the body signaling danger, and the mind locking into the vibration of lack. This keeps you in a state of incoherence. On the other hand, conscious, deep breathing flips the signal. It sends a message to every cell in your body that you are safe, whole, and aligned. And because the field mirrors your state, that message begins to collapse reality differently. The missing piece is not that breath matters, it's how you use it. Breath must be used as a ritual of embodiment, as a conscious act that goes beyond automatic function. Imagine this. You close your eyes and, with every inhale, you are not simply drawing oxygen into your lungs. You are pulling in the frequency of I am. Not I want, not I will be, but the pure vibration of being. Every exhale becomes the act of letting go of resistance, the release of doubt, the surrender of the need to control how or when things happen. In this rhythm, your body shifts, your mind slows down, and your energetic field reorganizes. Suddenly, you are no longer asking for reality to change. You are embodying the change. First, the mirror of reality cannot resist. It reflects instantly. This is the true function of breath. To collapse reality by collapsing you into coherence. From a scientific perspective, breathing patterns alter brainwave states, guiding you into theta and gamma frequencies, where new neural pathways can form. From a spiritual perspective, conscious breath opens the channel to the divine. Both perspectives describe the same process. You become the observer with power, not the observer trapped in longing. Breath is not simply air moving through your body, it is frequency given form. Each cycle of breath becomes a decree, I am. In those two simple words, silently spoken through the rhythm of your breath, the wave function bends. Now, the question arises, if breath is so powerful, how should it be practiced to anchor you into the God state? Random deep breaths won't suffice. The key lies in creating a specific ritual, a pattern that unites the inhale and exhale with the vibration of identity. This is the technique that has been whispered across centuries but rarely taught in its true quantum dimension. This is where the missing piece of the puzzle finally comes together. Let's break it down. The ritual is simple yet profound. It is called the I am breathing ritual, a practice that unites the science of coherence with the spirituality of being. It collapses the observer and the observed into one. First, understand that this ritual is not about forcing the mind to believe something it secretly doubts. It is about bypassing thought and anchoring truth directly into the body. The breath becomes the vessel, and the words I am become the code. Here's how it works. Find a quiet space where you can sit or lie comfortably. Close your eyes and take a deep breath in through your nose. As you inhale, imagine that you are drawing in the entire field of infinite potential into your body. The breath expands your chest, your ribs, your belly, as if creation itself is being invited in. At the peak of the inhale, hold your breath gently for a moment and, in your mind, declare the word I. This is not just a word. It is the acknowledgement of existence, of presence, of being the very essence of the observer. As you exhale, release your breath slowly and steadily through your mouth and silently whisper the word am. This is the embodiment, the declaration that what you seek is already within you. The rhythm is simple. Inhale I, exhale am. Repeat this cycle. Soon, the words will stop being just language. They will vibrate through your nervous system, resonating in every cell of your body. Each cycle reorganizes the field around you, pulling the wave of infinite potential into collapse, matching the frequency of fulfillment. After several minutes of this practice, you will feel a shift. It will not be a shift in thought, but in state. The edges of lack will dissolve, your body will soften. The mirror of the universe will begin to reflect differently. This is not imagination, this is coherence. You will no longer be trying to convince reality to change. You will be reality state-changing. What makes this ritual so powerful is its precision. It combines breath, which alters your physiology, with identity, which shifts your vibration. Together, they remove the fracture between who you believe you are and who you truly are. Neville Goddard taught that the key to manifestation was the assumption of the wish fulfilled. This ritual makes assumption visceral. It is not acting as if, with effort. It is breathing as if, being as if, vibrating as if. The frequency of I am leaves no space for longing to survive. The God state doesn't need to be created. It is revealed by stripping away the illusions of lack, one breath at a time. Here is the moment of engagement. As you listen to these words, let them transcend the video and become part of your own experience. Let the ritual move from the screen to your reality and anchor itself deep within you. Allow it to reverberate beyond the silence and into the collective space. Type in the comments, I am. If you're ready to stop wishing and start vibrating with purpose, this is not just a fleeting exercise. It is a collective embodiment. Each comment is a frequency amplified, a ripple across the energetic field of all who read it. In this shared resonance, the state of the divine, the God state, transitions from a theoretical concept into practical living, from the isolated self into the expansive collective. The power of this ritual lies not in how long you practice it, but in how deeply you allow yourself to sink into it. Even just 3 minutes of focused, coherent I am breathing can recalibrate your state, quiet the noise of doubt, and align you with the frequency of fulfillment. The more you immerse yourself in this rhythm, the more your body begins to integrate it as its natural state. Over time, you no longer simply perform the ritual. You embody it. The breath becomes an unconscious declaration of being, and the universe, as it always does with unflinching honesty, reflects this alignment without delay. But there is a deeper layer awaiting your attention. While breath alone initiates the alignment, it is your identity that secures this state. However, the challenge arises when cycles of frustration continue to pull you back into the realm of lack. How do you dismantle these old patterns, these repeating cycles that seem to recycle failure and create resistance? This is where the next step of the journey begins, because once you experience the God state, the true test becomes holding it steady when the world inevitably tests you. To achieve this, you must recognize the hidden cycle for what it is and break it once and for all. If you've ever practiced affirmations, repeated visualizations, or spent sleepless nights asking the universe for signs, then you're familiar with the sharp sting of disappointment when nothing seems to shift. That heaviness, that subtle frustration, is not evidence of failure. It is the indication of a cycle repeating itself. This cycle is simple but ruthless. You desire, you act, you wait, and then you notice no change. So you desire more intensely, act more desperately, and wait more anxiously. The silence of reality becomes deafening. This is the trap of manifesting from desire instead of embodiment. And once you see this pattern clearly, you cannot unsee it. The cycle of frustration persists because the state of lack is often disguised as effort. Many believe that the more they push, the closer they get to their goal. But in quantum terms, effort without alignment only amplifies dissonance. The frequency you emit when you beg, when you force, when you strain, is the frequency of separation. And the field, in its precise honesty, reflects this separation, not your intention. This is why, despite spending years practicing the law of attraction, many still feel stuck. They are broadcasting from a misaligned state, hoping the universe will overlook the static. But the universe is flawless. It only mirrors what is coherent. Here is the breakthrough moment. Your so-called failures are not proof that manifestation doesn't work. Rather, they are proof that it always works. Every so-called failure is a perfect reflection of the state you embodied in that moment. This is not punishment, it is precision. While this realization may sting at first because it places responsibility squarely in your hands, beneath this sting lies freedom. For if you are the one creating the cycle, you are also the one capable of breaking it. So, how is this cycle broken? It's not by trying harder. It's not by adding more rituals or stacking countless techniques. The cycle is broken when you shift your identity from lack to embodiment. When you live the state instead of chasing the outcome. This is where the metaphor of the radio becomes invaluable. A radio doesn't beg the station to play the song it loves. It doesn't plead for permission. It simply tunes to the right frequency, and the song naturally follows. You too are a receiver. The God state is the frequency. Frustration arises only when you insist on tuning into stations of doubt and lack while hoping the universe will play a different song. The moment you tune correctly, the music flows effortlessly. Science affirms this truth. Studies on heart-brain coherence reveal that frustration generates chaotic signals. These irregular rhythms in the body's electromagnetic field scramble communication between your biology and the surrounding field. Gratitude, presence, and a clear sense of identity, on the other hand, generate smooth, harmonious waves, coherent frequencies that project clarity into the field. The universe doesn't resist you. It simply mirrors the clarity or chaos that you radiate. Thus, frustration is not the end of the journey. It is a signal, a diagnostic tool that reveals where incoherence has been at the helm. And here's the liberating twist. Even your moments of failure were sacred practice. Each delay, every missed outcome, every disappointment was proof that the field is listening with total precision. The lesson was right in front of you all along. The God state doesn't ask you to erase the past or deny the struggles you've faced. It invites you to reinterpret them. What if your failures weren't evidence against you, but rather evidence of your power to collapse reality? The only issue was that you were collapsing it from the wrong state. Suddenly, frustration transforms. It becomes feedback, guidance, an opportunity. But there is still one final question. If the God state is already available, why do people struggle to stay in it? Why does it feel like slipping sand that you briefly hold only to have it slip through your fingers again? The answer lies in the fact that most people still see the God state as something to reach for rather than something to live in. They return to wanting, grasping, waiting. Each time they do, they re-enter the cycle of lack. Breaking the cycle means no longer dipping in and out of embodiment. It means allowing embodiment to become your identity. You no longer visit the God state, you live there. This brings us to the final revelation. If the God state is not something to reach but something to embody, then the true work lies in learning how to remain in it permanently. Even when the external world tests you, that's the closing key. The invitation is into a life where manifestation is no longer an event but a natural rhythm. Stay here, because what comes next is the vision of living permanently in the God state. In this state, every breath, every thought, every step carries the vibration of I am. The God state is not a temporary high or a fleeting moment reached during meditation, only to be lost when life gets complicated. It is a permanent identity, a state of being that transcends circumstances. To live in the God state means no longer negotiating with reality. It means no longer waiting for proof before you believe, no longer dipping in and out of coherence based on external outcomes. It is to stand rooted in the truth that what you seek has already been given to you. The field is not withholding anything from you. Creation responds to who you are, not what you beg for. Living here requires a fundamental shift in how you see yourself. Most people define their lives by external outcomes, the job they have, the money they earn, the relationships they maintain. But outcomes are merely reflections. They are delayed feedback loops of past states. When you live in the God state, you flip the order. You no longer wait for the reflection to change before you do. You embody the change first, and reality follows. You breathe coherence. You walk coherence. You speak coherence. Soon, your life becomes a mirror too radiant to deny. This is where mysticism and science converge. Mystics call it surrender. Scientists call it resonance. The language may differ, but the truth is the same. Coherence sustained over time rewires your biology and your destiny. The neurons in your brain fire in new patterns. Your heart radiates stability, and the electromagnetic field around your body becomes a clear signal of completion. The quantum field, merciless in its honesty, reflects that signal back to you. The God state is no longer something you practice, it becomes something you are. But permanence does not equate to perfection. Challenges still arise. Life continues to test you. The world will shift. The difference, however, is that when you are in the God state, you are no longer thrown out of alignment by external circumstances. Instead, you respond from a place of embodiment. Breath becomes your anchor. Presence becomes your foundation. You may wobble, but you no longer collapse back into lack. You remain tuned to the station of I am. And as the music of reality continues to play, it does so in perfect harmony with you. This is why every step of this journey is crucial. The paradox of desire showed you why simply wanting doesn't work. Quantum mechanics revealed the role of the observer. Breath unlocked the hidden key. The I am ritual provided the practice. Breaking the cycle of frustration opened the freedom to choose differently. And now, the vision is clear. You were never meant to chase outcomes. You were meant to embody the God state. Not once, not occasionally, but as a way of life. So, the invitation is this. Begin now. Every inhale, every exhale, every declaration of I am is not a ritual you perform, but a reality you live. When the field sees coherence, it reflects coherence. When you live as if the wish has already been fulfilled, the mirror of the universe has no choice but to align. You are no longer waiting at the door, you are the door. As more of us step into this frequency, the ripple expands beyond the individual. It becomes a movement, a community, a collective embodiment of the God state. To continue this journey, to anchor the practice deeper into your daily life, I created something for you. The ebook Awaken Your Quantum Power, along with a practical companion book, will guide you step by step. Inside, you'll find tools to integrate coherence into your everyday reality, transforming this teaching from mere inspiration into true transformation. Explore it, breathe with it, live it. Because the God state is not a secret to be visited, it is your birthright to inhabit. And the moment you claim it, not with words, not with hope, but with being, everything begins to shift. Not someday, but right now.